Hello and welcome to Be in the Spotlight, the Feature Friday special, and my special guest today and for this month is Ruth. Ruth, if you'd like to introduce yourself to the viewers and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, that would be very much appreciated.
Hi, Sue. It's nice to be here. So I am Ruth Tsui. I am the experience designer. So what I do is I combine my background in facilitating group learning experiences with business strategy to help coaches, consultants, experts to create and build better group programs that boost engagement and actually help the participants in those experiences do so they're not just passively absorbing knowledge, but actually having an impact, changing behavior, and actually applying the skills to their context.
Wow, that was a mouthful. I'm glad you introduced yourself. So it sounds really interesting, definitely. And I know that you've been on a journey to get to this point where you are now. Would you like to share with us the journey that you've been on to get to where you are and what you're offering as a service now?
Yeah, so my journey in business has been very much a rabbit warren of kind of toing and froing and going round in circles and kind of evolutionary exploration. I left teaching in 2017. I had a mental breakdown, brought into a franchise business, which essentially I was fully booked but broke. The business model just wasn't sustainable, and I actually agreed to terminate my contract early. Then went into the educational consultancy space. So set up my own business, teaching STEM, so science, tech, engineering, and maths to little people and to their teachers or early years practitioners. So that was a combination of working with the children directly, but also training the teachers and the early years practitioners to deliver STEM for their little people. And throughout that kind of experience, obviously, when you enter the online business space, you almost forget all of the things that you know already, and you get sucked into this plethora of advice that's telling you to do this and to do this and do that, and all the group programs and the courses and all of this information. And actually, throughout that experience, what I really realized was, the quality of some of this advice that's going out there isn't that great. The quality of some of these experiences aren't that brilliant. And I became a business strategist, in official title terms last year. And through the work with my clients, I realized my specialist area was really an offer creation and how we can take the needs of our ideal client and match that with an offer that actually delivers the solution that they need. And then through various conversations, I realized that I was actually hiding part of my skill set.
Right.
I think it was almost like I was blind to it because I've been doing it for so long. My first job, within 3 weeks, I was standing in front of a lecture theatre of 100 people delivering a training session.
Gosh.
This is like the first postgraduate job. And since then, I've done lots of this kind of stuff, facilitating workshops. I was a business analyst in my first role. So I'd go into different teams, work with different stakeholders, understand their needs, and actually help to plot out the processes and drive efficiency. I was working in a change management program. So essentially all of these skills built up over time. I went into teaching. I did teacher training, mentoring. I delivered training to teachers. I was like, hang on a minute here. This has been a feature of 18 years of my life. Why am I not leveraging this when I can see, in fact, with the clients that I'm working with, there is this big gap in the market. There's a lot of poor advice out there. And I don't think that this customer experience piece in terms of learning is actually really spoken about very much at all.
No. I will agree with you. With my journey on the social media, is the amount of conflict in advice and telling you got to do this and you've got to do that, and you know if you want to scale. But what I found was nobody was actually listening to me with what I was saying that I was trying to do and what I was being told to offer. instead of being told, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, that's really unique, that's different, I was made to feel that it wasn't what people wanted and I needed to be doing something else. So I would carry on trying to do what I was told to do and blah, blah, blah. And it was getting so confusing because, you know, you had one group of thought teaching you one way and another group of thought teaching you other way, and trying to get it to sort of, and I'm thinking, well, that is still not what I'm trying to do, and that doesn't actually fit with the type of people that I'm working for or who I've got in the group. And like you said about the mentoring and working with adults in the teaching, you know, when you're teaching, you aren't just teaching, standing up in front of a room and teaching them how to do something. You're actually finding what the starting point of everybody is in that room, for starters. And then what you're trying to do is create a program of learning that will actually inspire them and help them to aspire to reach higher level of understanding and knowledge, so that they want to do. And as you say about your unfair advantage, you know, when you feel that you aren't achieving something and people making you feel like a failure, albeit you're not, you get so swamped in with the negativity, you don't focus on the positivity. And when you actually you look at what you're doing in the environment where I am successful, and you keep people coming back, and they keep coming back. And in adult education, people staying with you for more than a term or something in my area of business is unheard of. And that I've had them for a year or 2 years, they're coming back. And, you know, in that is the model. And I thought to myself, well, really, you know, you're creating stuff that's meeting the needs of what they're wanting, and then you're putting on more provision. You know, I'm pitching and selling the ideas to enable progression to take place and get them through it. To the point now, when we get to the point we've used all of the avenues there, they then come into my group and joining me and becoming private clients for the odd things now. But I mean, that to me is about, it's about learning, it's a journey, it's about how you grow and you evolve and the confidence that you get. But it's also giving people the power to think for themselves, to have that confidence to do things. But know there's people like yourself that I've got this idea, but I've got those concepts, but I haven't got the expertise. And knowing that there's somebody like you that has got that expertise that can help them to achieve it, I think is so important. But they don't seem to have that type of approach. A lot of the people I've found, it's been, you know, it's this way, and if you want to be getting 7k, 8k, 10k, whatever figure, however many k's it is, you know, I'm not worried about that. I just want to actually get the clients and get them working and achieving and doing goals. So yeah, I totally understand that. So I suppose that leads into another question we've sort of been talking around about, but knowing that you have this struggle and trying to hear your voice in a crowded market, what do you think now, and what advice would you give to somebody else who is looking at starting up their own unique niche, and making themselves stand out different to everybody else out there in the industry?
So I think the key thing when it comes to finding your standout feature and what you do differently to everybody else and standing out from the crowd is really knowing what you're good at. So it's taking that time to reflect on your skills, your experiences, your qualifications, what your clients are saying about you, and putting that into a context that actually meets the ideal client's need. You know, like being able to package that up into a solution to their problem. And part of being able to stand out is actually developing your own unique approach to things. You know, anyone could be a business coach, anyone could be a marketing coach and just follow the same methodology, but they're not going to stand out. They're just going to be another voice of many. So it's about knowing what your unfair advantage is, knowing what you're really good at doing, but also encapsulating it into something that is unique to you, in terms of like a signature system or a framework or a methodology. You know, this having something that is uniquely yours, your unique approach, that nobody else views it in that same way as you.
Yeah.
You talk about that in your marketing.
Yeah.
That is a point of difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it drives the solution,
Yeah.
because you follow that framework as a replicable process to get to the outcome.
Yeah. No, that is good advice. That's really good advice there, Ruth. I think as well, and from your own experiences and from my own as well, that also I think we need to accept that whatever we come up with as our first idea may not be the best idea. But
Absolutely.
things adapt, and just because you're adapting, it doesn't mean to say that things were wrong, but you just figure out ways of doing something better, and that's part of your journey as well. And I think that is the mistake that I feel personally, that people that try to fast track things to have the solution to the problem, they haven't been on that journey that's given them that extra skills and knowledge of what going through the process does to you. Because all of that journey is character building, giving you resilience to the things that don't work. There's also self-reflection and evaluating what you do and what you aren't doing, and what works and what doesn't work. So I think that is also really key to people when they're coming out with an idea, and to start small. Don't be pressurized into going big and doing this, that and the other. Just test something out first and get confident with what you're doing. If it works, it's brilliant. If it doesn't work, you can tweak it and try it again. But don't be afraid to say it. If it's not working, it's not working, and knock the idea on the head, and preferably do it before you spend loads of money, because that's my other find, is that I've had loads of people say, yep, I can help you, no problem, and then they don't offer me their lower offer. It's this high class ticket of a VIP service, and I can do X, Y and Z for you. And I'm thinking, yes, I look at the price tag and I'm thinking, yes, you're helping me, but I think you're helping you more than you're helping me. And I think that it is as well, it's not everybody's approach is the right to you. So not to feel that you're drawn into these offers, and there are a lot of them out there.
Oh, there's so many.
There's so many. So I think that also leads quite nicely to our next point I wanted to talk with you, which is about the marketing promises and what you're offering, and how do you ensure that what you offer is true and is deliverable and meets the expectations of the client, because there is so much pressure on sales and marketing. But how do you ensure that what you're delivering is sustainable and is offering what it is that you say you are? So what would you say, how would you deal with that to ensure that how would you suggest that we deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, this question is really important as well in the kind of the time that we find ourselves in, right? With the online coaching space has been around for a while. There's been lots of kind of guru worship for quite a number of years. And what we have now is people have been burnt by bad investments. They've joined these big cohort programs where they've spent thousands of pounds on an investment that hasn't delivered. We live in an AI-enabled world where information is now commoditized. So people aren't looking for information. They're looking for supported implementation so that they can actually apply what you're saying to their context. And I think this means that there is going to be a shift. And I think it's already happening in terms of what solutions clients are looking for. I think that a big cohort program where you're a faceless name in the crowd and you might get a question answered in a Zoom chat if you're lucky. I think that is going to change in the future. And this is where, as I think actually as smaller business owners, we have an opportunity that we can leverage to our advantage. Because we can have our finger on the pulse. With those kind of one-to-one conversations that we have with people. That lets us understand what our ideal clients truly need. And we can adapt. We can craft offers that meet the need, and we can be quick to meet that need. And when it comes down to this kind of marketing versus promise, we have to start knowing what we're selling. We
Yeah.
can't start with, this is my marketing campaign.
No,
This
no.
is like, this is the glossy, I'm going to sell the 6-figure thing, and then I'm going to try and work out the offer that delivers that.
Yeah.
You know,
I've struggled with that one, where people say, and it is a strategy I've seen a lot, is don't prepare the course and then sell it, sell the course and then prepare it. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay, I get that, but I want to actually know that I've tried and tested it and it works before I start selling anything,
so
you know.
I mean, this is a really interesting question, isn't it? Because sell and build, or build and sell. You don't want to spend months and months building something that's never going to sell, but you also don't want to try and sell something that you don't have any confidence behind.
Yeah.
And I think it's shifting your perspective to realize that the first time you put out an offer, it's a minimal viable product. It is a prototype, it's a hypothesis.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is based off your own skills and experiences and you know, your unique skill set, you combine that with what you know of your ideal client, and you put together a hypothetical solution. This is the thing I think they're asking for. And you create an objective around that, which becomes your internal barometer. And then you craft your program promise based off that outline of what you think you're going to deliver. And that's the thing that you sell. But what you're doing is you're saying, I'm definitely going to deliver this because that's what I've promised you. But when you're going through it, I might realize that you need something else, and I'm going to adapt that. I'm not going to deliver less than my promise.
No.
But I am going to enhance my promise. As we co-create that offer together. So it becomes this kind of process of iteration instead of, it's not one or the other.
No.
It's somewhere in the middle.
And I suppose for me, my using your words again, my unfair advantage is that any ideas I get, I can try them out in the classroom and see if they work or not, because you know, with live audience, you can test it and do it, you know.
But you have to live test. You can't otherwise.
No, exactly. And then I mean, when people say about the market research and stuff, what market research and stuff you've done, and well, I go an awful lot on what people have asked me in the classroom. You know, that is live audience from people from all different backgrounds. So, you know, when they say to me that things like they aren't on social media because the security settings worry them, or they don't want people to see all their posts and things like that, you know, when I say, well, you can be on social, you can be on social without being social. You can develop your digital skills and use the social media as a research tool, just the same as you've learned to use the internet and YouTube. It's another area. In fact, it's probably better because it's more specific. It's not so much to wade through, and there's high quality content, especially on platforms like TikTok, which are now changing because they want to take on YouTube, and they're giving you those 10-minute videos that you can create, which you can't do on Instagram and things like that. So, you know, and because I've pushed myself out of my comfort zone to be on all of the platforms, again, told don't do that, focus on one and one only. Well, no, I haven't done that. I've learned all about all of them, but I was on them first as an observer, watching them. I've been on them as a personal user before I went to the business, so that when I went on to the business, I was learning it. I hadn't realized how different it was going to be learning it as a business, for a business, as it was for personal. And I wasn't prepared for the amount of sales and marketing type of content that there was out there. I definitely have control of the algorithm. I know that people say, oh, you can't control it, but you can control what's in your feed. You can control the content that you see. I can't control who sees mine so well, but that is, you know, for me, it was about the learning journey for me and how it was helping me. And that is what I teach in the classroom. You get control over what it is you want to see, what you want to do, and what interests you. And that's the pitch that I use for selling the concept, for learning, you know, why to use it and stuff like that. So it is a way of how you spin it to make it so that something that is where people are afraid of something, how you can turn it into a positive one. But also, because teaching digital skills is also about online safety and all the, you know, other security stuff that we have to go through, you're doing it in a way that makes them so that they are aware of, you know, what they can do and how they can take the steps to stay safe online. So yeah, that is definitely interesting way of, again, going through. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at some notes here. So there's a couple of things that I know I wanted to talk about. One of the things that you said is in your own business is about being ready for success, being a concept for selling. What is this approach, and how is it how are you using that to contribute to the success of the programs that you're running now? And what are the programs you are running now? just for everybody else, so they know what you're doing and what you're offering now.
So this is actually about going back to your ideal client work,
Yeah.
but it's going much, much deeper than that superficial identity piece, which is what all the marketing people say, don't they? When you set up your business, you need to do this ideal client avatar.
Yes,
and you talk about their demographics and where they live and what
Yeah.
coffee they drink and all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, I view the ideal client as 3 concentric circles.
Yeah.
So we have the identity piece, then we have their desire.
Yeah.
That's that. Actually, what do they want?
Yeah.
And are they willing to pay for that thing? Are they at the point in their journey where they're just gonna YouTube some videos, see if they can work it out for themselves, or actually are they at the point where this has become, I can't do this on my own, I'm about to throw my laptop out the window, it's driving me nuts, I need to find somebody that can help me. Once we found that person, we then need to understand whether they're actually ready to succeed. And this is about understanding what their foundations. You know this in the classroom context. You have to start with where they're at to know how you progress them through a journey. So, thinking about what technical skills might they need, thinking about what past experiences they need to bring to the table. Do they need to have already been running a business for 3 months in order to be able to do this? Do they need to know how to use social media? Do they need to have their messaging in place? If it's a health related solution, do they need to have a treadmill or or like a yoga ball? Like it's getting down into these nitty gritty details of actually, if I'm selling a solution, does my ideal client have everything that they need? Whether that's technological, physical resources, emotional resources, financial resources.
That's another factor.
To actually be able to do what I'm promising. Because if you went into a Facebook ads course, actually there's the Facebook ads course, but also you need to have a budget set aside in order to be able to run the ads. So
exactly.
You're not going to target somebody that wants to fix their Facebook ads issue or their lead gen issue with your Facebook ads course, because they might not have the budget to put into ads. So you need to go that layer deeper into their foundation, so you know they're ready.
So it's the actual, it's the whys, the whats and the hows and the whos, all of those questions, but getting it right down. And sometimes those questions are the things that they haven't thought about. You're wanting to do something, and I guess that was probably something I did with the client that I was working with last week, when they wanted to create something and they wanted to do something in a form, but they couldn't actually do what they wanted to do in form. So the form wasn't the right solution to the problem. But because I knew what they were trying to do and what they wanted to achieve, I was able to show them to do it in a different way, which actually was far more suitable for what they wanted to do than it was creating the form. So yes, and it's also knowing the skill set, I guess, if that
absolutely,
if they haven't got the tech skills to be able to do something like that, then you know that's going to need to be a longer process, or you're going to have to do a bit of training to build it up to
exactly
what
like
they want
so that you're leveling that playing field. And I liken it to a classroom situation. When you're teaching 30 children, there's a spectrum of ability and capability, and some children are going to be at one end, and there's like a bell curve to the other end, and we need to make sure that we're not just catering for the people at the top end of the bell curve.
No,
we're catering, actually we're pacing for the bottom.
Yes.
And we're pushing everyone through from the back end, not dragging them from the front end.
Exactly. That is so true. And that is actually, it's not, people will think about that from children, from a school perspective,
Yeah.
but that's exactly the same in adult learning.
Absolutely.
Exactly the
Absolutely.
same and in fact the diversity is probably even greater in adult education, especially when you have so many neurodiverse people within the classroom. And the people that are neurodiverse half the time don't realise they're neurodiverse either. So pulling in strategies, a way of delivering stuff, you have to do it 2 or 3 different ways to get it. So invariably in the teaching, you're doing 3 or 4 different ways of doing the same. Well, you can do 3 or 4 different ways of doing anything in teaching in IT anyway, but you are pulling in those different ways because you're trying to find a way that they will remember. And if they've got a physical disability as well, it becomes even more challenging to work around it. So yeah, it is, it's very much on the thing. Another thing, I know when you're the principal, because you said about you've incorporated adult learning principles into your program of your development, so that obviously very interesting. We're talking about adult here. What are the principles that you've brought in from adult learning experiences to help with your the learning experiences of the participants you've got on your course or your program now?
So actually at the moment I'm working with group program leaders in a one-to-one context to support them to essentially utilize and apply adult learning theory to their group programs.
Okay.
So this is about that understanding of actually, our adult learners are self-directed, which means that they are coming into this because they want to. They're motivated to be here, but they're also bringing in their complex life experiences. They've all got their own goals that they're working towards. There's a reason why they're here, and they want action and they want it fast. They are not here just for the fun of it. They are here because they want to achieve, but they also want guidance and support. So it's that mirroring, isn't it, of like, yes, they're self-directed, but they want community and support. So it's looking at how we can utilize those principles in order to build a strategic framework in terms of group program development. So ensuring you've got a clear program promise, so they know they can say, I'm achieving this. I can do this. Having a roadmap in place that says, these are the things that you will need to do in order to get to that promise. I can track my own progress. I can do the learning that I need to do. And you are giving me the support structures to be able to apply those things to my context. Whether that's calls, videos, training sessions, whatever that might be, you're putting in those foundational building blocks that actually boost their engagement and their motivation. Because yes, they're self-directed, but if you don't give them the tools that they need, that initial motivation is going to wear off. It doesn't stay forever. And if they're not getting what they want from you, they'll just switch off and go find it from somewhere else.
No, that is and that's true again, because again, we're all on a journey, and even with the qualification stuff that I'm doing, the people there are all there for different reasons. And bless him, 80-year-old is the eldest I've got on my qualification course, but he's just got a passion for learning. He just loves learning, and he's already talking to me about what he can do next after he's got this, this qualification. And I'm thinking, he doesn't need it. He just comes. And the funny thing that we do laugh about is we both did the social media for business use together in 2016, and we did our YouTube video together. So it's so funny. Making YouTube videos with big partners there, so we do have a little laugh about it. So his reasons for being on the course and the program is very different to the lady who's ex-BA cabin crew, who's now working in a charity, and she's organising events and putting on fashion shows, to the lady who's got her own card making business and is looking at how she can scale that business, but get taking it from being very, very successful word of mouth to taking it into a digital world that she's currently afraid of doing. So they're all different reasons for being there, but they're all sort of on the same journey. Exactly. So looking ahead, you've got a lot of things that you want to do with your program for the future, and I know that I just can't wait to see what you do next. So, but what are the initiatives that you are working on now, and what can we look forward to from you, Ruth, in the future?
So obviously I'm working one-to-one with clients predominantly at the moment. What I would like to do is have a group program of my own, because that's what I'm supporting people to do. You know, I've just found a new tech tool, and I know that you like tech.
I do.
And I mean, it's brilliant, because what it does is it takes these principles of adult learning, it takes the kind of engagement boosters, support systems, that kind of gamification piece,
Okay.
and it basically facilitates that in a course format. So you have your typical videos and resources, your podcasts, whatever that might look like, but actually it has this underpinning of accountability, implementation, doing the do, you know, automate sending voice notes to people to check in. You know, they can click on things and they get celebrations, and it's driving into this piece of, actually, you know, you're being supported to do the do, because it's tapping into this engagement and motivation piece. So what I would like to do is move my group programs onto that platform, so that actually I'm demonstrating how powerful technology can be in supporting you to deliver a better group program, because so many of these group program hubs are essentially just a library of, you know, like there's nothing that actually drives motivation whatsoever. Whereas if you can use a tech tool to automate some of these things, and you know, or check in with people if they haven't logged in for 2 weeks, and all of this kind of stuff, that actually really does drive the client experience.
I have to say, I'm probably guilty of one of those people. I bought into a couple of things that initially wasn't quite how I planned it. It's just I ended up one of those things linking into the thing, and then you ended up on the paying before you realised it. But yes, you'll be so many things you're taking onto this stuff, and then if you're self-paced, self-directed learning, the biggest thing is if you are really busy, it just gets full in, and you forget to do it. And I think that is the thing where when you've got somebody that's live motivating you or pushing you, I get the idea of people liking the self-paced because they can't always do the live calls. And if you're working like me full time, trying to get onto those when people are available is really difficult. But people like to have that support. I mean, I like to know if I'm having a problem, I got somewhere I can go and ask the question without being feel stupid for asking the questions. And then if you don't understand, I've gone through it, but I'm not quite sure. So it's that sort of support, but without, you know, it's sort of a blend. It's the blended approach, I guess, of being self-directed learning. You're working it when you're doing it, but knowing that you've got a bit of support there if you need to.
And it's that two-sided element to that. Like, yes, you can automate some of this stuff, but also you still need to be present. Like, I absolutely hate the whole passive income course where you pre-record it and you put it on a system and you never see it, you never touch it again. Because actually, you know, if we look back at those adult learning principles, support and community is an important driver for engagement in your materials. So if you're not having that element, then you're basically not enabling your learners to succeed.
No, agreed. And I think that was also when I tried to put my group together, the buzz, it wasn't about it basically, I was trying to find the support that I was looking for that I wasn't finding, so that I had a group of people that when I sold the idea to them about like experts in their fields, they didn't know everything, but they wanted to learn as well, but they were experts in what they did, so that we had a place where we could go and ask questions, and hopefully that people would be able to answer. And I think that was also part of the reason for me, you know, organising what I call the buzz socials. They were network and chat sessions, but not where you're doing elevator pitches. It's actually
Yes.
you're talking together, you're building a community, and
Yeah.
you're learning from each other about, you know, oh, I'm struggling with this, have you got any ideas or
Yeah.
tips or something? So that it's like a networking meeting, like it's a team meeting or a staff meeting, but when you're working on your own,
Yeah.
you don't have that opportunity
No.
to get and talk to people, so you can brainstorm ideas off of people and get ideas. And then that was the other reason for doing the Be in the Spotlight, or the Feature Friday special, was that it was giving people an opportunity to find and get to know the members of the group, or, you know, who were, some of them were experts, have got amazing skill set, to know a bit more about them, and to, you know, to be able to ask the questions. So that was really the idea of where I was coming from when I set up the group, of, you know, a place where you could go and ask questions, and, you know, it didn't have to be relying down to one person to create the post or answering them. It was sort of literally was that hub of information, of I guess it's a community hub, a digital skills community hub, basically, of things. So that was where the Be in the Spotlight is started from, and the idea of where it was going. So but not a place to do training. I never envisaged it to be. What I thought was, if there were common themes coming through that you could see, oh, 2 or 3 people are asking, oh, how do you do something? It would be a way of saying, is somebody looking for training? If we could organise training, who would be interested in it, and we could get some training put on. An example of that was some reels training I did. We got organised last year. Who else wanted to know how to make reels?
Yeah.
We got the training put on. So, and I know a couple of people have sort of said about like the web design and stuff like that. So I know I've got people that would offer it there if it comes up. So that's what I was looking at it from my perspective when I put that there. And I'm not aware that there is anybody else doing anything out there. There's IT groups out there. There's people that do groups that do interviews and lives and stuff like that. But I don't know that I've seen it as a, I suppose, your extended adult education place that you can go for training that isn't, you know, being evolved around one thing or one concept, or, you know, a place that's used for basically selling to you and giving you stuff, but we won't give it you, you've got to pay for it. I mean, yes, obviously paying for training, we all want to earn money, but you know, there's some quick fixes, and there's some longer solutions that require a bit more time. So yeah, that's where I was going to my thoughts with that. So it sounds really exciting. I just hope in the future we'll get a bit more talking on that and see what you're doing. So last question, I think, for me, because I know we're running out of time, and I can't believe I've done it all in one go with you, Ruth, without pausing for an advert break. We might have to work out where the natural pause is. So yeah, for looking ahead for the future, we've talked a lot about tech, we've talked about skills, we've talked about the knowledge that we have. But for anybody that's looking at starting out and setting up their own business, they aren't necessarily that tech savvy, and I know your own words are you're fairly tech savvy, and I think you're tech savvy in a lot more areas than I am in certain things at the moment. But what would you say were the key skill areas that people really need to focus on when they're starting out, if they can't afford to do everything, and we're looking at doing stuff for free and on a budget, and free is the best budget to work with when you're starting? What would you say were the key areas that they would need to focus on to start with?
Well, working out your USP.
Yeah,
absolutely. Like knowing what you do differently, that comes with time, so you have to practice. Having conversations with people. I mean, it's social media marketing is seen as the easy solution, but actually having conversations with people is much more likely to grow your network and get you those initial clients in faster. So you know, that would be my suggestion, is yes, and like up level your skills in terms of digital marketing, but actually in the first instance applying that offline marketing is a really good place to start. So yeah, knowing why you're different, marketing offline rather than focusing all your efforts on social media and content creation, because that takes a lot of time and it's a slow burn. And I would say knowing that you have the confidence in your offer.
Yeah.
to be able to go out and sell it. So, you know, we talked about sell then build, build and sell. It's
Yeah.
something in the middle.
Yeah.
So you need to work out what your initial stab or first hypothesis, first prototype is.
Yeah. That sounds fairly good. That sounds really good. What would you say the tech would be, though, if they were looking at tech? So what would you say? I mean, because I can remember when I got told, it's like, you need your CRM, you need to have
No.
a email marketing
No.
Canva,
Okay.
you need this, you need that, you need the other, and the ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, if you're doing online, you know, if it's an online business, you need some kind of face-to-face talking tool, whether that's Zoom or Google Meet.
Yeah.
I would say you need an email system.
Yeah.
So, you know, something like MailerLite is free.
Yeah.
Canva is really helpful for
Yeah.
making things look nice.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I would say that you don't need
Yeah.
social media posts.
And what about the website? What's your thoughts on website?
I am a year and a bit into this business and I still don't have a website that's functioning.
No. Are you paying for the domain by any chance?
I am paying for the domain, but the domain is, you know, like $12 a year or something. So
well, I think I'm actually paying monthly, but admittedly where I went, it's not a huge amount, and it was very cheap when I started with it. But the main thing I got out of that I am using was the email address that I had it as a, you know, the thing, and I had the free website. The free website's still going, but and I was very proud. It was the first one I ever made. that actually went live, moved it over across the domain, and then I realized how bad it was. And then I think I possibly the same reasons as you, that every time I thought I got clear with an offer, I got something put together, and then the offer changed and the wording went out the window. So I thought it's pointless bothering doing a website until I actually know what it is I'm offering that I'm actually happy with, and then I'll spend the time doing it. Otherwise, I'll be taking it down every 5 minutes.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
So
and there's a lot to be said for keeping that process simple in the first instance. You know, when you're in that prototyping phase, a Google Doc. That you could just send to somebody with the information that they need and a conversation will be much more impactful unless you're in e-commerce. If you're in an e-commerce business, obviously you need a website and all that tech stuff set up. But if you're an online, like a service provider, then keep the tech as simple as it can be in the first instance.
I agree. I felt that there's so much pressure to have this, that and the other.
And the issue with these things as well is that you don't know right at the beginning where your business is going, so you don't actually know what you need. So, you know, there's these all-in-one tools, but actually they don't do anything very well because they do everything, so therefore they do nothing. And you can invest £100 a month in these things and they actually don't serve you. So I think there's no need to rush that process. It's much better to get very clear on what you actually need your tech to do, and then invest in the right tech.
I agree.
Rather than changing your tech, changing your tech, because that takes time. That whole process of shifting and stuff.
And I think having what I've frozen mouth face again, having found what it was like with the social media profiles and what you're told to do for social media and writing it, and I've lost count of how many times I've redone my social media profiles, and I'm just thinking, oh my goodness. So I'm just going to stop my video a second because I'm still frozen there. The social media and trying to make it so it's all this niche specific again, and I think that for me was the bit that started me on the negative self-doubt journey of, you know, what I'm trying to do and this doesn't align with what I'm trying to do. You kept being told you got to do this and so on, and you persevere thinking, well, they're experts in what they're doing, but to me, for me personally, that just didn't work for me. And I think I'm too much of a free spirit of I like to experiment, because that's learning, that's part of the journey, is the learning, the challenge, and finding out for yourself. Sometimes for me, like you said, which you're doing with your clients, it's having those people that you can speak to get an idea or bounce things off of.
Yeah.
And sometimes those 5-minute calls are literally all you need to, am I right on thinking this is what I should be doing, or that type of stuff. So I think the solution to the problems is definitely, I think, where you're saying is the advantage now or the unfair advantage is that if you can see what those problems are and the solutions, and as people, I read somewhere yesterday, you don't want to inspire people, you want to aspire people. And I thought, yeah, I understand what you're saying now, because if you're aspiring people, they're going to become the people that will want to do something. Whereas if you're inspiring, they aren't in a position, you want them to do something.
They'll say, oh, that's really nice, and then do nothing with it.
Yeah, exactly. So I've learned now that it's nice to be inspiring, but I would rather aspire other people to gain those digital skills and build their confidence and stuff like that. Ruth, thank you so much for joining me today. I could, as always, carry on chatting to you forever, and we probably will do. I think we'll have another conversation in a future when I know that you've progressed more with your offer and where we're going, and hopefully with mine as well.
Be in the spotlight is the place to be network chatting, discuss technology. Be in the spotlight is the place to be. Tech Talk tips for free.